bad signal.
What? What's it?
Firecast.
Are we on?
Leave you on Facebook.
That would be wonderful. If you are able to hear us on Facebook, please go ahead and type 42. Type 42 and send it to us so we know that you are there. Unfortunately, our internet blinked, and then Facebook in particular did not cooperate with us. So we're hoping, so it didn't just go back on. Anika had to put in new codes. So I'm hoping that we are on. If you are on, if you are live, please go ahead and type 42 so that we know that you are here with us. And also on YouTube, go ahead and type 42 on your keyboard and send it to us so we know that you are with us. 42, 42, 42, 42. How does it look?
I'm not seeing any comments on Facebook yet.
No?
Sai said she was hearing us on YouTube, even though I'd stopped streaming. Unusual. Okay, so I see you on YouTube. Family on YouTube, are you here?
Family on YouTube, can you hear us clearly? Family on Facebook, are you with us? YouTube says that we're now live.
Yeah, they both say it, but I'm not seeing people respond. I don't see
On
anything in
Facebook
the chat.
or?
Yeah.
Okay. We're hoping that you're with us on both Facebook and on YouTube. Please let us know if you are able to hear us. It looks like we're on now. We're live on Facebook now.
Okay.
Looks like we're with us on both Facebook. And I'm seeing a few 42s. Good.
Okay.
Good. It looks like we're back. I'm hoping that we're back. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So let me go ahead and say, listen, technology can be challenging and fickle sometimes. Our internet, for whatever reason, blinked. We probably need to have a technician in again for that router back there, because when it blinks, we went offline. And then Facebook did not want to just simply reinitiate our feed, and so Anika had to rush to put in new code. So it looks like we are successful now, and that we are in. So what we'd like to do now is we would like to go into Hesi. And what we would normally do, what I really wanted to do, but I think we're today, and next time what we'll do is we will go ahead and we'll show you a video of us doing that Hesi together before BC, before Corona. So you should know that today what we'd like to do is you preparing for the winter solstice. Preparing for the winter solstice, which is now about 2 weeks away. And so as you are preparing, we want you to go into this important time in a powerful form. And so we're going to be talking about the winter solstice, and one of the Neteru that we should focus on today is Asar. And so we do our Asar Hesi. Asar the beautiful, Asar the resurrected, Asar whose journey allows us to have resurrection ourselves. Iya'u, Asar Neferu. Iya'u, 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 Asar Neferu. It means like praise, praise, praise. Asar the most perfect. And then you'll hear us say, Di-Isa, Di-Isa, actually it's technically Di-Isa, but we're going to say Di-Isa. We're taking a little bit of license with it. Di-Isa Neteru, which means Give me divine wisdom. Give me divine wisdom. And then the refrain is Asar, 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 ah, ah, which means Asar, Asar, Asar the Great. Asar, 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 ah, ah, Asar, 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 ah, ah. Okay, we do that usually 4 times. So, here we go. Ee-ah-oo, 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 Asar, Neferu. Ee-ah-oo, 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 Asar, Neferu. Di-isa, Neferu. Di-isa, Asar, 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 ah, ah. Asar, 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 ah, ah. Asar, 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 ah, ah. Ee-ah-oo, 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 Asar, Neferu. Ee-ah-oo, 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 Asar, Neferu. Di-isa, Neferu. Di-isa, Neferu. Asar, 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 ah, ah. Asar, 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 ah, ah. Asar, Asar, ah, ah. Asar, 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 ah, ah. Ee-ah-oo, 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 Asar, Neferu. Di-isa, Neferu. Di-isa, Neferu. Asar, 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 ah, ah. 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 So I hope that you're getting the Asar Hesi. Feel you will continue to use the Hesi that we are doing here in Kemetic Ascension. And I was going to play you a video. It was going to take a little bit longer, and with us going off, we didn't do that. I was going to play you a video of us doing this together BC, before Corona.
They're liking that.
And I will say to you that when we were doing it, we had those magnificent Hesi masters with us. In the video we were going to show you, you were going to see people that we love very dearly, people who are part of the leadership of the Shrine of Ma'at. We were going to show you a boot, I was going to say a boot Noni Bastet.
It's now Mehert.
I should just say a boot Mehert. A boot Mehert. I'm sure that if you call her Noni Bastet, she's still going to answer. But she does have a new name, and you should speak to her about it. A boot Mehert was about to do the sort of be in the front here in this area doing the Hesi. And off camera, you were going to hear Abu Kepra, who was also in the Hesi. We were cooking it up, boy, drumming and just enjoying ourselves. I looked back at that this morning, I was like, oh, 2020, when will you end? Because I really miss having folks in-house. I miss seeing folks like Abu Huti coming in and being here, and Abu Ames would be here, and Abu Jamar would come through sometimes with his sons, and I mean, it was a wonderful time. We would often also see, you should know, Sanette, we would often see Sanette Adrian, and even Sanette Cheryl would even come through.
And by the way, thank you very much, Twa'u, for your donation, Sanette Cheryl. We appreciate
yes,
that.
Sanette Cheryl would be here too, and sometimes she'd be coming from a long distance. So I want you to really know that we miss being in physical form with you, but we know that you're there because you still communicate with us online. When this is all over, we'll be together again, and we cannot wait to be together again.
Also, Twa'u to Dion Lives and Twa'u to Andre Bryant for your donations as well. We appreciate that.
Anka Ma'at to you and Twa'u to you.
And shout out to Libya. We have a guest from Libya with us.
Woo! Go ahead. Libya is in the house. People from all over the world partake in Comedic Ascension. Can I say to you, one of the things that will be helpful also, family, on Facebook and on YouTube, is if you share this with people. Share Comedic Ascension with people who you think get it. People who are also moving and absolutely being motivated by the call of their ancient African ancestors. Share it with them so that they can also be part of Comedic Ascension as we continue to grow. So, at this our Comedic Ascension gathering, we usually do what is called a word from the Sebayit. And the Sebayit is that body of literature from ancient Kemet. In fact, the world's oldest body of literature. You know, I know that if you are part of the Shrine of Ma'at, if you are one of the folks that regularly comes to Comedic Ascension, you have heard us talk about this. When else have you heard about anybody mention Sebayit literature? They'll talk about the Greek classics and, you know, philosophy and all of this stuff, but they really won't talk about the fact that the first body of literature, which could easily be considered philosophy, before the Greeks ever had that word in their mouth. You would easily see that the Sebayit literature is that literature which also should be celebrated, is that literature which we should also recognize in its splendor. And that has not happened, and that is a major issue, and we ought remedy that. Because it provides us with knowledge on how to live a divinely balanced life. And we should be able to continue to partake in it. So, can I say that today about is preparing for the winter solstice? Asking you, when is the winter solstice, family? Tell us when the winter solstice is. You should have that answer. You should know when the winter solstice is, because in some ways it's one of the most important days of the year. You know that our Kemetic ancestors focused on the movement of the sun, of the importance of the sun, both literally and spiritually and symbolically. And so this day, the winter solstice, is of critical importance. So do we have any answers?
December 21st.
December 21st?
Sinette Damaris.
Damaris gave us an answer. Anka Ma'at, is good to hear from
Anna you. Also.
Sinette Anna, December 21st.
22nd. We have the 20. So, I'm sorry. Sinette Anna says 21st. Chris Withers says the 22nd. Andre Bryant, 21st through the 24th. Aruko says the 20th to the 23rd. So we have several answers.
When is the solstice 2020?
It's Sunday, December 6th, 2020.
I asked you what day it was today. Hey Siri, when is the winter solstice? And so recognize that Monday, first of all, we should say to you that we always gather for the equinoxes and the solstices. And so we actually are hoping that you may gather with us. This is one of the few times we do things in person these days during Corona, as you know. We're hoping that you'll gather with us on the solstice at Central Park. Now, you know the winter solstice. Now, look, when we have the summer solstice, Anika, during the summer solstice, we play and we laugh and we go get food and we stand outside and just enjoy ourselves. Often, if it falls on a Saturday, we're also spending time with the other shrine in Fundi. But on winter solstice, we get neat and dirty, right? We just go in. It's cold. It's cold. In fact, I remember a few years ago on the winter solstice, we actually were doing the winter solstice and we started hearing these little sounds like pling, 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 pling. And I remember looking over at Abu Vernon. I said, we were talking, we started hearing it was getting louder. I said, what is that? He said, I have no idea, but I was wondering too. At first we might have thought that it was a little critter in the grass, and we were like, uh-oh, we don't like critters, right? But we noticed it was everywhere. We were hearing hail on the leaves in Central Park. That's what we were hearing. So you know that the shrunk goes hard, okay? We were doing our solstice celebration with the hail. We do our celebration at the Tekken in Central Park on the day of the event. Some other shrines do it sort of near it. But we do it on the day of the event. So that means that Monday, December 20th at 7 p.m., we will be in Central Park. So that if you are also like me, longing for the days that we were able to gather together, we will be gathering. Now listen, we want you to wear a mask, okay? I know that no one likes them. I don't like them. And honestly, in terms of, but I still wear a mask. Because the mask, I wear my mask, you wear your mask. So if you can, December 21st at the in Central Park. By the way, if you've never been there, you probably will have to ask for Cleopatra's Needle. They don't know what the heck it is. We do. We have remembrance of our ancestors' elemental excellence. And so we know what it is. That's what you're going to have to ask for if you don't know where it is. It's behind the Metropolitan Museum. If you enter at around a little bit more, it's side on the stone gate, the stone fence, Miner's Gate. If I had been there, I never noticed the term right on. Enter in Miner's Gate. And when you enter there, you'll walk and you look to the right and you see 3 bears. The bears are standing there in a playground. If you see the 3 bears, you're walking a few feet and you saw a Miner's Gate on your left, you're going in the right direction. Just continue to walk and you will actually get to a point where you're going to go under the Greywacke Arch. Once you get past the Greywacke Arch, make the right and you'll be there. By the way, if you'll be up the stairs, right? You'll make the right and go up the, not up the stairs originally. You make up the stairs to the Tekken. Yeah. Because most of the leaves are the trees, you should be able to see the Tekken on your right, on that hill on the right.
So that Adrienne is hardcore. She's been to all of our equinoxes and solstices, even in the that she is okay and that she gets there so we can see her.
Don't you? Isn't Sen Jehutimes your escort usually? You know he look after his mother figure. He should. Sen Jehutimes, if you on there, you shouldn't be walking in the park by themselves late at night. Well, it's not quite late, but still, this is the solstice, so it's going to be dark. So please make sure that you are celebrating them and honoring them by making sure they arrive safely.
So they asked what colors for this year.
You know, I've been asked that question, and I did not remember did not answer before when someone asked me. Anika?
Well, for Asar we would wear green, but on Mondays we wear blue and white.
So wear green if you can. Mm-hmm. Wear some white and green if you can. Okay? Wear some white and we'll be so happy to see you because we don't get to see you with our own eye. I don't get to see you. I have not seen you with my 2 eyes. Anika said you better stop those. We have not gotten to see you with our own eyes recently. So please make sure that if you can be there, you are. Now recognize that it's going to be part of a weekend of events. So Saturday, we're going to have a virtual tour of the Metropolitan Museum. And we're going to see, so that's going to start at 12 noon. Mm-hmm. It's going to go for about 2.5 hours. Then we're going to have like a half-hour break, and then we'll have the lecture on the African origins of Christianity. Then Sunday we have Comedic Ascension. Monday we have the solstice celebration. I know we're crazy. I know. And Raul is probably thinking, no, understanding both the importance of the solstice and its connection to the African origins of Christianity is important. So it is a fundraiser for the shrine. It is a fundraiser for the shrine. So please make sure that you are able to join, that you can join. If you're not there for all of it, be there for part of it. When you make your donation, you'll get the links to the tour and to the lecture. So go to our website at Shrine of and you'll see more information. It'll also be posted on our Facebook page as well.
And speaking of fundraisers, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but on Facebook there's a new option. If you click on the stars, goals for the shrine.
Yes, it's important because now listen, this space is the place where Anika and I live. It will always be sacred to us, and the lower level is the Shrine of Ma'at. It will always be a place that we will have private meetings. But we really are looking to get to the point where we have a space that's commensurate with the work that we're doing. That's one of the major things that we can do. And of course, you know, your donations help us to put on these events. It's not easy to do them. And so we're looking to be able to do them, to continue to do them and to do them at a higher level. So, as we're talking about the solstice, I want to talk about the wisdom in observing the solstice. And you're seeing an image here of the. You can see that they are both giving energy. Can you see they're giving energy? I hope you can. I hope you can see that they're giving and receiving energy. By the way, I think it's interesting that the lady on the left seems to have two left hands, and the lady on the right seems to have two right hands. That is not unintentional. And in the middle, what is the symbol you are seeing in the middle? If you recognize the symbol in the middle, then you should understand why this image is the image that I selected to describe the winter solstice. And I also want you to tell me who's the lady on the left and who's the lady on the right. Who's the lady on the left? Who's the lady on the right? Who's the lady on the left? Who's the lady on the right? The thing that's interesting is that their names are actually written in their headdresses. Their names are actually written in their headdresses. So tell us who they are and tell us what the symbol in the middle is so that we can acknowledge why this is connected with the winter solstice. Do we have any answers, Anika? I'd like to know if you know. Let me know if you know.
Ask the question again.
I'm wondering if they can tell me what the symbol in the middle is. Column in the middle.
Mm-hmm. And he also says it's in Bedhead and As.
In Bedhead and As. Wonderful. Duas and Kliko. So recognize that if they are standing, they're not just standing this way in a position of adoration. This is an altered version. So they are they're kessing, they're kneeling, and they're doing this. And the reason why they're doing their hands are in this manner is because they are reminding you that as they give and receive divine energy, they are raising the jet in the middle. That is what you are seeing. So, this is a symbol of the resurrection. That's what this is. And the winter solstice, in the Kemetic understanding, is mostly connected to the resurrection of Asar, the victory of Asar over death. First of all, let me ask, what is the solstice? Are you seeing this animation? I hope you're seeing the animation. You are actually seeing the Earth in its elliptical orbit around the sun. Now, elliptical means that it's kind of more of an oval than it is a circle. And when it's depicted in books, you see this big oval. In actuality, it's close. It's kind of close to a circle. and the sun is not entirely in the middle of it. That there's a lot that we can talk about as the tilt is approximately 23.5 degrees. 23.5 degrees. I know that there are probably some of you that believe that our seasons, particularly in the north, we look at the seasons very distinctly, right? We have we have spring, we have summer, we have fall, and then right? In fact, it's interesting that only closer to the poles is it very clear that there are 4 seasons. In actuality, they're kind of more like seasons for the world, for the folks that are closer towards the center of the earth, closer towards the equator. But in actuality, it's not the around the sun that gives us our seasons. In many ways, it is the tilt that gives us our seasons. You might find it very interesting to know that during the winter solstice in the north where we are now, the sun is actually closer to the earth. The earth is closer to the sun than we are during the summer. The thing that actually makes the seasons is tilt. It's the tilt, because as we during the winter we are tilted away from the sun, which means we get less light, and during the summer we are tilted towards the sun, which actually means that we get more light. It is the tilt that makes the seasons, and I think that that is amazing. It's also the tilt that means times of the year, if you are at the North Pole or the South Pole, you will have light or darkness 24 hours a day because of the tilt. That is amazing to me, and I would like in a place where there are 24 hours of light just for a short period of time. It would be amazing to see that. In fact, there have been some movies that deal with it, which are very, very interesting. But take a look at how this works. It is amazing. Yeah, it's called sun. By the way, when the sun is at 90 degrees on the earth, that area where you are where the sun is 90 degrees to you, that is called sun overhead. And when you're at the point where you are furthest from the sun, that is called the aphelion. And if you are closer to the sun, it is the closest to the sun is called the periphelion. Now, I want to be clear about something. I know that some of you are thinking, wait a minute, I came for a spiritual celebration. I came to talk about, to be about our spiritual connection. Why has Jabari given us astronomy and science? Because you need to understand that your Kemetic ancestors, the most spiritual people perhaps ever to walk on the planet, yet they understood science. Science does not obliterate spirituality. Spirituality tells us what our nature is, what our connection to the rest of the universe and all of those individuals around us is. Science tells us exactly how things happen in a very literal sense. And you need to know both things. There's nothing wrong with knowing both things. Because sometimes when you actually think about the fact, let's get spiritual for just 1 second while I continue to tell you the literal story. If you think about the fact that when we in the north are having winter, we are actually the closest to the sun, what does that mean? Have you not experienced a long winter that is 2020? This has been a rough year, y'all. A rough year personally for me. I started the year very concerned about my father and spending with my father, taking him back and forth to doctors. Was struggling with stage 4 cancer. Really, really difficult year. And then we were still doing a lot, even though I was struggling personally, doing our initiation and doing Kemetic Ascension and all of those things. And then I got coronavirus in early March, or mid-March, and I was down. You know that. I even tried to come do comedic ascension a few times while I was still recovering. And I remember I was struggling so much with coughing that it was like, what am I trying to do? What am I doing? And then shortly after that, my father, I was able to return and spend time with my father who was ill. My mother was really struggling trying to take care of him. And then my father transitioned and became an ancestor. It was a really tough year for me personally. And I know it's been a tough year for you. I have seen so many of the parents and loved ones, and some of even my colleagues, pass away from the coronavirus. I personally know several people who have passed away. And when I was sick, sitting at the top, looking out the window, I saw the body bags coming on across the street. When New York City was shut down and there was almost nothing driving on the street except ambulances, I saw body bags. This has been a rough year. And even one of my good friends from some time ago who I worked was even impactful for me when that wonderful brother who was an excellent actor, whose final role actually is being released, that wonderful brother Chadwick Boseman made his transition. That affected me personally as well. I worked with Chadwick. I thought he was an amazing black man, and I told him such. And for him to die so early was really, really hard as well. Not as hard as my father, of course, but hard. Knowing that a young man, younger than me, would actually die. When he seemed to be, when he seemed to be getting all of the things that he deserved because of the type he was. Really, this has been a tough year. I know many of you have lost people who are close to you, have seen the numbers of dead pile up, particularly in the African and Native American communities. We have been disproportionately impacted by this. And the thing that marks particularly the African community is our connection to each other. It has always been our strength. And to be in the middle of a pandemic, that means you have to say, this is horrible for us. This has been hard. So have you not been in darkness? Have you not experienced what we can consider midnight? When we look at the winter solstice, the period where we get the most of the solstice, I think it's important to recognize that we are actually closer to the sun than we are in the summer. The diagram is not that great. We're actually closer to the sun than we are during the summer. Our light seems to be obscured, but we are close. Hang in there. Be an agent of divine light and help those around us understand that we are close to it. That's what you should be doing right now. That's what you should be doing right now. And so I want you to recognize what this means spiritually. Recognize that the solstice is a time for us to remember Ra and become Asar, the imperishable soul. It is the shortest day of the solstice is the shortest day of the year. It's the beginning of winter. It's our preparation period for the colder months and to have less sunlight. But at the same time, it's a celebration of light. It is supposed to be the cultivation of Earth's vitality. A recognition of our ability to be victorious over all things, including the most challenging thing, death. And so I want you to understand that that is what we should be doing. That we should be galvanizing divine energy. And you know that this is the time when As would be recognizing the death of Asar. This on the 22nd. The sun rise in the sky each day. Notice that leading up to the solstice, from all the way from the fall to now, we have seen that we're getting short days of light that are shorter. the time in the day that we get sun has been shorter and shorter and shorter until on the equinox we get the shortest, the solstice, we get the amount of sun. And for 3 days the sun rises at the same point in the sky. Our ancestors epitomized this, made this symbolic in the sense that they said the sun had died. What happens? The sun then rises, and it rises in another point in the sky again. And now we are getting more light. The hours of light has had victory over death. And I know that there are people who at this time are to be celebrating trees into their home that they decorate and giving presents. They're going to have wreaths. And I want you to understand that what they're doing is not Christianity. What they're doing is an echo of the ancient African. And I know that they don't know that. Beat them over the head about it. Try to be around so they understand what they're actually doing. This is a time for us to recognize and galvanize divine vital energy that is depicted as Asar. Look at beautiful Asar here, with his features as deep and dark as ancient Africa. And you might not know this, but Asar was connected to the pine cone. There were many things that were connected to Asar, but the pine cone was one of them. Take a look at these symbols, Kemetic symbols, and you will see the pine cone at the top, representing resurrection and enlightenment. The pine cone. We could talk for an hour about the pine cone and why it's connected to Asar and to sacred spirituality. But I'll just simply say to you that one of the reasons why it is a sacred symbol is because it comes from one of the oldest trees on the planet. Conifers are one of the oldest trees on the planet. And it happens to be a tree so sacred. Because we get less sun and less light as that the world around us seems to almost die. But this tree seems to flourish at a time when it has the least. And it issues an actual a seed process, the pine cone, that is the shape of the pineal. By the way, you should know we call the pineal gland. And
Hanson Nucleco mentioned that.
Yes, and it mentioned it was in the shape of the pineal.
Pine cone equals the pineal gland.
That's right. That's right. And what it also does, as we have them here, is the way in which its spines grow is in that sacred equation that today we only know of as what? Tell me what the equation is known as. But it is issued in that direction that is in the equation that all life. There is one equation that governs the way that grow on pineapple grows. There is one equation where trees will put leaves on its stem. There is one equation that tells you the rate at which a baby will grow into. Powerful. And so the pine cone was connected to Asar, is connected to Asar. What is the name of the equation? Did anyone answer?
No. But, oh, yes, San Clico says the Fibonacci spiral.
It is known today as the Fibonacci sequence, or the Fibonacci spiral. Dwa Clico, who you know has been doing a lot of work.
Now some people are saying the pineal gland is releasing
melatonin, but you understand that melatonin is also, by the way, the pineal gland is one of the most important organs that secrete hormones in the body, or the messengers that tell the body how to regulate, how to behave. And melatonin is the one of the messengers that tells your body to go into a sleep state. It allows you to go into the deeper recesses, disconnecting you in some ways from the physical world and taking you into the spiritual realm. Powerful. Powerful. It is a hormone. So, Jabari has been teaching medical terminology all week. So, take a look at this. You'll see that from the Kemetic tradition, these pine cones have gone into old traditions, but younger traditions. Younger than Kemet, younger than ancient Africa, but still older than the traditions we see today. On the extreme left, you are seeing this from the Assyrian tradition. And you can see that this particular deity, I'm not going to go into who he is right now, is actually giving the pine cone. And how could you not see the symbol of Buddha's face as a pine cone with these curls, which some people would like to say they were snails climbing up on his head to protect him? I would like to let you know that those are Bantu Nubian knocks. Stop it! On top of his head. They are all connected to the pine cone. It is a sacred symbol. And I'm not going to go into the scenes right now, but I want you to understand that the resurrection is something that is not just something that your Kemetic ancestors recognize, but the later, the youngest people on the planet don't recognize that what they're practicing right now is astrotheology. They have literalized the story as the birth of Jesus. They've made it literal. They've hardened it. And in doing that, I think they should recognize they've done themselves a disservice. They don't recognize that. But that is exactly what they have done. And you should know that we recognize the resurrection in a way very similar, because our way that we do it, the birth and resurrection, is the primary one. And the rest of the people on the planet have been just retelling African people first told. So even see that in the celebration of the new year that occurs at a different time in the year, you'll even see that a star gives us the story of how this new sun will occur, where it will rise. You'll actually is known as Septet, which is analogized as Ast. And then when that star, which is the brightest star in the sky other than the sun, rises at a certain point, then you'll see that the three stars on Orion's belt, or as the Kemetic people call him, Sahu, will be in alignment, and then the sun will rise in direct line from them. So in some ways, this is where we get the story of the three kings rising, following a star in the east to the birth of the sun. This is not the sun S-U-N. This is not the sun S-O-N. This is the sun S-U-N. And so these symbols are things that your African ancestors brought into the world. And unfortunately, the youngest people on the planet believe that it is a literal story. And so I should ask, you should be preparing for this period and joyous in this period. By the way, don't relinquish the conifer to the Christians. Please don't do that. They are following something you did years ago. And so, yes, you should decorate your homes. Altars. You should celebrate the victory over death. But in our tradition, we would analogize that victory over death as Asar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make an altar to Asar. I'm hoping that you can see it clearly. And as I make the altar to Asar, I want you to understand that you could decorate your home in any of these decorations, because some of you, Anika and Jabari, and in fact I should say to you that it was Sinette Damaris that actually said, we decorate our homes for the winter solstice. We were talking this week and we mentioned that. And so it inspired me to talk more about it today in preparation of the solstice. She's on, right?
Yes.
Ankin Ma'ad and Dua to you, Sinet Damaris. She is the wife of one of the members of Rakas Hashem. So, what are some of the colors that are specific to Asar? First of all, you should know that he is white. And so what we are going to do is we're going to start creating an altar. Let me first say that when you're creating an altar, I would normally create it out of a natural material. We're using, but I would normally like to create it out of a natural material. If there's a table that an ancestor to you had, don't you let them throw away your grandmama's table, your grandfather's work desk. Don't let them throw it away. That's an excellent place to create an altar out of. Oh, it's just old. You know, you can get something new. Yeah, but it has ancestral energy. Using a folding table, just so you can set it up here. But that's that natural, actually, I think, at a higher spiritual resonance. And then we're going to use our tablecloth. I love this tablecloth because of its sparkliness. It just sequins on it. And the sequins remind me of what? Of the stars. So white is a fundamental color. And, you should definitely be organizing and decorating in these colors. White is one of them. We'll talk about some of the others in a minute.
Shouting out. So our also says white, green, gold. San Clico says he's the Lord of the the green one.
Yes, yes, yes. By the way, what is the Kemetic name for green? What's the Kemetic word for green? Who knows? Is anyone saying?
Not yet.
You can see by green. The great green is what they called it. And the word for green is Waj. Usually spelled in English, W-A-D-J.
San Clico's on fire today.
Yes, of course he is. He's been doing a lot of study for a long time. When we met him, that brother was already deep. He just brought deepness to the shrine of my eye. By the way, I'm going to put this color here. What is this? This is fake leopard cloth. I don't think that we should be killing leopards. By the way, I live in New York, so killing a leopard would even be crazier for me right now, right? Have somebody kill it all the way over there, bring the skin all the way over here. So this is faux leopard cloth. And the leopard is also a symbol in ancient Kemet, connected to the ability to have victory over death. And so that is why I'm using the leopard cloth. When Jabari and Anika do funerals, we often, in remembrance of the particular priest that did that in Kemet, called the Sem priest, you'll see us wearing the leopard cloth. Because we're talking about resurrection, adding a bit of leopard to this. Could you actually also have leopard print as part of your connection? Yes. You should also know that sometimes when you see the leopard print in imagery, they actually don't even have the spots, they have stars, because they recognize this is connected to resurrection in its symbolism. So and then we added some leopard cloth. Now it's time for us to add the elements. You know that all of the items that you are doing on your altar, you might also want to clean sacredly. Maybe you should clean them with some rose water, or you could even clean it with spiritually with smoke. Maybe this is a good time for you to your white sage or your Palo Santo. I'm leaving that for Anika because I some Palo Santo. She just loves some Palo Santo. And so you could have done that. Here's the white sage here. Right? So I could have used some white sage. Right? White sage is like purification with a blowtorch. Not a big fan of sage scent. So what people use Palo Santo. Palo Santo is a bit more subtle scent, but it can be used for the same
You and San Clico are tag teaming today.
You're
almost saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah. let me say that when you are also cleaning, you could use some Florida water. Florida water is good. That's a good. That's something else that you'll be able to do. By the way, Florida water is just florid. It's rose water. It's flower water. That's why it's not necessarily connected to the state. That's what Florida water is. And so it's really good that you can use that as well. Here, I would probably from here add some life very quickly, right? Because this is about resurrection. So you might have seen that we brought down this plant. So I'm going to add some life to it, right? Now, what are the other ways you can add life? You should also, maybe you might want to put some fruit or some vegetable on here as a ceremonial offering to the Neteru and to the ancestors. And then later you're going to eat it, okay? Don't just leave it to go bad. That's not what you would do. Eat it later. Okay. Now from here, what I would do often is I would add some other things that are connected to Asar. Let's see, where did I put that? Oh, here we go. From here, because his colors could be considered white, green, because remember, he's usually dressed, his face is green, sometimes his face is black, and one of his diminutive names was the Lord of Black. So what, and you can also decorate in white. I just think gold is also connected to him as well. I always use gold as well. But look at what I do. So you see this larger piece here? I think I'm going to add some gold to it. What are these? These are actual patterns. And with this frond, you'll note that I have spray painted them gold. It's actually not the color. I usually like metallic gold. Okay? I had in the house was hammered gold. So all I did is I took fronds, I'm going to put them together here, and I spray painted them with a little Rust-Oleum hammered. That's what I did. Right? It'll give them a little more firmness as well. So here are the papyrus fronds. 1, 2. I wish I had 14 of them. I don't think I do. 1, 2, 4, 5. I don't have 14, so what number? I'd just add 5 because 1 and 4 is 5. I could do that. Or what I could do is add 7.
5 is the number for foundation.
5 is the number of foundation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 of them. So you could do that. I think I want to put the small one here and take another one out. No. Assemble them. And also put this gold platter there. That's what I would probably put the food. And of course, I would also want to have a symbol of light. Now, in this instance, usually when you make or sometimes elements, one of them is fire. But I'd like a symbol of light because remember, what we are celebrating is the rule of light.
You're mentioning Ra shining through the window right now.
Oh, Ra is on this altar. Glad you mentioned it because I was going to mention it. But take a look at the light here. Candle. By you go in candles like this. I usually do them in every color. I didn't have time to bring them down right now. After that, when I want to really invoke or evoke a particular ancestral energy, what I usually do is I paint on the front the image that is related to them. So if this is Asar, what would I paint on it? What might I paint on it? Answers? Come on now. What would I paint on that if this is Asar? I could paint it green. Yeah, you could get a green candle. You could even get a black candle. But I like to paint the image of them on top of it. What I would paint on this is a throne and an eye. Because that's for a SAR without the determinant. If you're really fancy and you have great art skills like a Boutwasseret, who is an amazing artist, she doesn't always recognize how powerful and amazing her artwork is. I think she's come to the point where she's doing art and sharing it with the Shrine of Bond. But she would be able to paint that on there and make it look amazing. I'm telling you. Now, I also believe that if we are talking about a SAR, the symbol of a SAR's resurrection is not just the Jed, but also what else? Tekken. Now, this is not a, but I love that it is mostly a green stone Tekken. So I'm going to put this one here. I'm also going to, for our altar, add a few Tekkenu. What else would I add from here? I have my light. I have things that represent life. I have images that represent Asar. Maybe what I would do here is I would now also begin with my pine cones. Now, the pine cones are a symbol of Asar. The pine cones are a symbol of spiritual resurrection. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know the symbol of Asar is 14 usually. 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14. Now, before I place these, I don't only want to talk to you about how you're doing your altar. You should also be prepared that these are the things that you could be using in your house, right? Try to get evergreen plants. Oh, man. Don't recognize that. Have your evergreen. Don't relinquish them to people. Don't relinquish your evergreen plants to those people who think they're connected to Christmas. Why? They're the ones that don't recognize the more powerful usage of them. So I actually, Anika doesn't like when I buy the conifers shaped like Christmas trees, quote unquote. But I do buy them, and I'm probably going to buy one too. I just won't put it in front of the house. Because Anika thinks that they'll confuse that we're celebrating Christmas, and we're not. But what I would do here is I would actually get some of them, and maybe I'd have some gold ujatiyu on them. That would be hot, right? Is carve a large symbol of Aston Heru.
Also, if you have a Jed.
I don't.
You did?
Yes, I do. And we usually put it in the front. So I do have a Jed. So this is what I would do. Here go my pine cones. I'm going to just go ahead and put them here. 1, 2, 3. Let me take them. Now remember, you could take these pine cones, you could spray paint them gold, you can spray paint them green, you could spray paint them black. Black is not going to stand out as much. White pine cones would be wonderful. And imagine a circle on your door made of white garland, white pine cones, and the ujatiyu in the middle. That's a Kemetic garland. Don't relinquish the garland to people who don't understand. You're the one that understands that we are all doing something Kemetic. Make your garland of white painted pine cones with the ujatiyu and with a gold ujatiyu in the middle. Hotness. By the way, the ujatiyu, somebody would actually look at it and say, wait a minute, they say they're not doing Christmas, what they doing? Point for you to talk to people who live around you without being belligerent or fighting with them. Because that's also not always, you're not trying to fight with people, you're trying to galvanize divine energy. So notice I have my 14 pine cones here. Trying to make them look a little bit more even. Here we go. You might notice I have some vessels here, right? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with those in a minute. And so from here, I think it's time for me to add a star. And so here is our statue of a star. I'm going to put a star in a very prominent place, right? Beautiful. And you can notice that this is almost complete. What I would normally do from here is I put wonderful incense. I love this this box. Just it's beautiful. It's gold. It's all of those things. I put this here. And Anika, thank you for going to get our Jed. Here's our Jed symbol. And notice it has a sun on the top because it is a symbol of the resurrection. And so I would just place, I don't know if they can see this low.
I'll take a picture and put it on.
I just here, right in the middle. Now, what I would do, as I recognize the victory over death, what would I add? Now I want to, because remember, that which you feed is that which exists, is that which will continue to operate in your life. That which you feed is that which lives. And so what items might you feed a star with? Can I ask? What items would you feed a star with? Let's see what you come up with. I'm waiting to hear what we would feed. Someone said barley, or is that you?
That's me.
Okay. You could use barley. Barley is connected to. Now listen, Jabari was upset today because I only had Heineken. Jabari is not a beer drinker. But beer is one of the things that symbolically was sacred to a star. It comes from hops. Sar is connected to a sar. A sar was known as the person who brought beer. See this little vessel here? It's a nice little clear shot glass. What I would do is I would give a sar something to drink. And as you're giving him something to drink, maybe you should be saying, Di Isa Neteru. Give me divine wisdom. So that's the beer. And then, Anika and I were talking about give him bar. I'm going to say that I'm something a little different, just because it's what we like to eat. And it is still a grain, and a sar was connected to the grain. By the way, a sar is also connected to the grape. So, but we're going to use some Mama Goguse cracked bulgur wheat. Anika is every day. She's probably had bulgur wheat for the last 3 weeks.
So we have, Santiago says beer, Gaston says fruit and veggies.
What would you put up there?
We have bread, we have corn, we
Let's
have
see the creativity.
someone said pork chops.
I don't think I would
Not
fit that. But look here, I'm putting some barley, some bulgur wheat here.
If I said red beans and rice.
Why red beans and rice?
It sounds tasty.
Asar like tasted stuff. Jabbar, you saying Asar don't eat tasty things? And so we have that there. Now this is a symbol of resurrection. So I'm also going to place a few other things on here. I love this gold and green kepper. In fact, I wear it around my neck sometimes. So I'm going to just of the acorns. And you'll also, this is the stone I use when I'm thinking deeply. And it's green and black. So to me, this is a good symbol of wisdom, the wisdom of a star. And the thing that's so interesting about it is, and I did not know, meditating, and I looked down at it, I noticed that the symbols here, this is Cochabamba jasper. There are eyes here. They so clearly look like human eyes that it actually freaked me out for a second. I was like, what is on there? The eyes on here. And so that is another reason why I use it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 14 of them on here. I love this stone. And so what I do is I put that there. The star. This is the altar that I would create for a star. This is the way that I would recognize the elemental energy, the powerful symbolic resurrection that is a star.
Question.
Yeah.
Use big fish. Replace a star with Heru.
Now here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with you putting Heru here, right? I think that Asar is considered the symbol of victory more than Heru. And so I probably put Asar more than I would Heru. But I'm really to also put this symbol here. See the symbol of As with Heru? I would be tempted to put them here as well. Nothing wrong with that. That's what I would do. I would be happier with a Asar altar. But listen, you are a divine being imbued with divine energy. You don't have to just make it the way I made it. Let your creativity live here. And all of these items that are on your altar should be decorating your house, in your house. How about you can do something amazing with pine cones? With pine cones. Maybe one you might feed a Asar is another fruit which occurs very similar to the pine cone. What fruit am I suggesting?
Pineapple.
You give them pineapples. Stop giving them the answers. Come on now. Give them some pineapples. Give him some It's in the same family. Give him some pineapples. What are the other things that I would do? Make sure that you all over the place. Right? Make sure you have lights. Couldn't you decorate your doorstep if you live in a house like we do with 14 lights on the winter solstice? 14 candles, 14 lights that you burn. Wouldn't that be magnificent? There are many, many ways that you probably haven't talked as much about decoration because usually people who are practicing the Kemetic traditions, people who are practicing African traditions, and in fact all of the traditions that are different than the 3 largest traditions today, usually we're doing it in secret. So we might have stuff inside our house, we don't tend to have stuff outside the house. Why not? That's the reason why Jabari carved a 8-foot ankh to place outside when the Shrine of Ma'at was meeting. That's why I did that. Why am I a secret Kamite? Why is that? We need to be comfortable with our traditions and who we are. Because when be fully Kemetic, when other people hear you be as the priest of our sister shrine says, authentically Kemetic, when other people recognize your wonderful splendor, your goldness, they will actually feel that they have been given license to do so themselves. Couldn't you put an altar outside your house? You could. You got to think about the elements and think about how you do it, but you could put it on the winter solstice night. Couldn't you light an altar outside your house? You could. Why not? Why not? So there are lots of different things. There are lots of different ways that you can bring this energy. And as you're bringing the energy, remember that the solstice, particularly for us in this region of the world, is when things look the darkest, but in actuality the light is right there. during the winter solstice, we are closer to the sun than we'll be in any other part of the year, but we seem to have less light. Doesn't it happen in your life sometimes that it seems, when in actuality all you had to do is everything turns around? What are the things that you should be discarding as part of the winter solstice this year? What are the things that you should be doing so that it go powerfully into the next period with you? Here's your homework. I want you to write a list of 14 things that you were discarding with the winter solstice. You should know that as we have our celebration, our health and wellness committee will be giving you a fasting protocol powerfully into this period. There are going to be many things you're going to be doing. And I did a pep down because the pep drying. Doing what we call the stomping of a pep. So that we're going to make clay versions of a pep for you to write the things that you need to get out of your life. And then at the solstice ceremony, what are we going to do? We're going to stomp them into dust. The stomping of a pep is an ancient practice that your ancestors gave. And of course, I love this string of cowrie shells. I just think it looks beautiful, and it's one of the things that I would like to put next to Asar. Now, let's say you don't have an Asar statue. Jabbar. Let's say you don't have a lot of space. Can you see this? That's like a 2.5 inch statue of Asar. You could buy that on Amazon, on eBay. Go ahead and get your statues so that you remember the images. You could do that.
Kenya says you can put grapes on there.
You could also, yeah, absolutely you could put grapes on there. Of course. Because you have seen that the grape and the cultivation of the grape is connected to Asar. In the ancient world, I'm not talking about new, now. Grape is sacred to Asar. You could do that. Remember, Asar is connected to grain and grape. And the later people who literalized this said that this savior actually duplicates wine and he has loaves. You should know that this is just an echo of Asar. They just made theirs literal. In that way, they have not allowed themselves to be Asar number one or to be Jesus, and they've not given credit to ancestors. That's the worst thing about it. But any of these things you can take into your home and use different places. If you don't have a statue of Asar, you can draw one, paint one, photocopy one, do something beautiful with it when you print it though, so that it's connected to Asar. Now remember what your homework is. There are 14 things. What are the 14 things that you're trying to discard? And be prepared for the stomping of a pep. We'll talk more about that later. So with that, forcing you. Hopefully I've given you some ideas for how you can actually tend your altar and how you can bring this period into existence. We hope to see you during our equinox celebration. Anika, can you please come forward and help us with the final affirmation?
Sure. So we had a lot to do today.
You stand there and I'll see if it fits.
We had a lot to do today. There's a lot of announcements for everyone. Again, please keep in mind that the video, please press on the star symbol that you see on there. That will help us with our donations. So if you click on the star, you will receive donations. You who like to sign of my eyes, or you can also do so through PayPal. Our website shrineofmyeye.com/events. That's also the page where you will see our fundraiser, which is the African Origins of Christianity weekend, starting December 19th and ending on the 21st. You will see that on Saturday we start with the virtual tour of the Met, and then have a lecture following that. So from 12 to 2 is the tour, and from 2:30 to 4:30 will be the lecture. And then on Sunday you'll have Comedic Ascension. And then on Monday, the actual solstice, we will be doing the solstice at the Tech-In in person. Please wear your mask. People's health as a shrine that we take health very seriously. So these are a lot of events. There's a discount time, and it helps us to raise funds for the shrine. It helps us with vacation so that we have a larger, and then we don't have to worry as much about pandemics like this where we're unable to have people indoors. So do so. Thank you again to those who made donations so far, and we will continue hopefully to collect donations from you for the rest of the day. So I will take a picture of this altar and put it on the Facebook page. For those of you who were unfortunately saw have a glitch earlier and off and had to come back on, all of the videos will be on Facebook, so you can go back and watch anything that you missed. So thank you so much for being here, and we are going to end with our traditional African Kemet, one of the oldest prayers ever written and known as the Amasu. So if you stand in the pose of adoration, we'll say it in the language of our ancestors, and then we'll repeat it in English. So please repeat after me. Amasu and
Amasu and Panter.
Sauksu,
Sausu, Emitra,
and Pater.
Ter.
Autu,
Autu,
Aura,
Aura,
Maketipa,
Maketipa.
Herura. The one most high.
Give yourself to the Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it today.
Just as you did it today.
Twelve winter.
12 winter.
Thank you to the divine, and thank you to all of you.
It's so wonderful that you've joined us. I hope that you've gotten lots of things that you can use to be powerful in this period. We'll see you soon. Tap. Ankh.